30 years later? How haven't they changed? I don't know. But also, there was a side of me that was just drawn to the world depicted in the movie, and I didn't quite know all of it, all the reasons why. When, you know, at that time, it was just a sense that there's something vital there, and it was something to, and I've learned to kind of follow those instincts or those things when you feel a tingle, like, oh, there's something alive there. Let's explore it. I don't know how yet, but let's explore it. And so Travis and I were just talking back there, like when I met Travis, or when we had our first conversation on the phone, I guess I only had a few elements. I knew I wanted to revisit cruising. I knew I wanted to have explicit sex in it, but not as titillation. That I wanted, that one of the things I got out of that class at NYU I was talking about is, there was actually another class on the human body in cinema, that I wanted to use sex in a way that wasn't for titillation, that it was, you know, either revealing character or, you know, was conceptual, or, you know, that kind of thing. And then, was that it? I guess those were the only things I had. And then there's this thing from Costume National, the clothing designer. They wanted,
that's how it came about in the first place.
Do an installation, so I thought, okay, well, it'll be my cruising video.
And it was. I mean, we should say that, like, it actually, this
were actually premiered.
Yeah, that was the premiere was a much shorter version of the relatively short 60-minute film you're about to see, played at Costume National, and that was sort of the origins of this, was creating something that could play for this show that they were doing during Fashion Week, where they basically turned their boutique over into a gallery. And James had other work there, and there were a couple of other artists, and this piece, the much shorter version, played in their dressing room for, it was like a month. It like looped for like a month or something.
Like 40 minutes, though.
What's that?
It was not this thing. It was a shorter.
It was a shorter version. It was a 40-minute version. Yeah. So we had this initial phone call, and we were just.
I found
sort of
Travis because he was doing. So I'd never directed sex scenes. So I thought it was sort of like when you do a stunt scene, like you hire.
You wanted a sexpert on directing sex scenes.
So I thought I would. My producer, Iris Torres, I thought she was going to find me like a porn director, and she told me, I was like, wait, how did you find Travis? Because I forgot. She said she Googled, like best gay sex directors or something like that. And then it turns out that Travis was getting a lot of attention for his work, and he was using sex in his films in exactly the way that I had hoped to do. So that kind of initiated the first phone call, and then during the first phone call, we quickly realized, or at least I did, I think you did, I don't know how this came about, but that the conversation that we were having, like, he's like, well, why do you want to do this? You know, where are you coming from? What, you know, and that discussion was, as interesting as what we were aiming to do. And so from that point on, and you'll see, I think in the film, the first scene, that was the first time we met, right? We're at the Chateau Marmont.
Yeah.
So from that point on, we decided, all right, we'll just film absolutely everything. And there was a script, but
yeah,
we'll film the making of, and that will become part of it.
Right. So there was a script that I wrote that was more like a treatment, and the arc that's in the script is exactly the arc that you're going to see in the film, and it basically follows our lead, Val Lauren. But we knew that there were so many other ripe elements that were just sort of strange and completely unorthodox and ripe for just like being present for in case something happened unexpected that would really support the arc that was already there. And so when we made this decision to film everything, you know, there's a certain amount of, I think both of us, that just like some of the stuff we filmed, this first scene in the movie in particular, I really, really, really never thought that would ever make it into the movie. You know, I mean, a lot of the stuff during the shoot that you'll see in the film, like I already had in mind, like, oh, of course this scene's gonna, But this scene that sort of sets things up for you guys at the beginning, that was completely off the cuff. So when you see that, and you'll be like going back and forth when you watch this, like, are they acting? Is this real? Is it just documentary? Like you're going to be like trying to figure it out. This first scene is really just us talking to each other and getting to know each other. And when Val Lauren comes in, who you'll get familiar with, the reservations that he talks about in this beginning scene were his real reservations. You know, that was really Val, who you see in the film.
And what I love about the project, or one of the things I love is, you know, in addition to just the subject matter and what we were, you know, exploring, is the form, you know, and the fact that it was a true exploration through the camera. That, you know, we had no idea what the final form was going to be, and even though we had that script, and, you know, some of it was used, there was also a certain amount of freedom while we were making it to kind of go off here, or see where everything wants to kind of go, and to have the freedom to let the flow of the whole thing take us wherever it was going to go. And, you know, and after making, you know, conventionally kind of made movies for 15 years, it's nice to be able to take a medium that's so familiar to me and try something new with it, and to use it for other purposes. And that is really exciting to me. Yeah,
it's totally liberating. Like, for me, I mean, well, first of all, things happened so quickly with this project that there wasn't a lot of time to worry or ruminate over choices that we were making. And so, like, things happened quickly, and we made sort of bold choices along the way that were like, we're doing this because of X, Y, and Z, and then we just kind of like went forward. But for me as a filmmaker, to have this kind of like semi-like guerrilla filmmaking thing going on, but having something that we collectively know that we're moving toward, and having that freedom, it was pretty exciting. I think a lot of what you see in the film was really what it was like being on set. I mean, we sort of accent different things and here and there, but a lot of what you see was actually what was palpable, I think, on the set, in terms of just a lot of energy. You know what I mean? And it was a lot of sort of curiosity too. I think everybody was really curious about both what was really going on, and then what this was going to become. And it was this weird way in which it dovetailed into each other, these curiosities, and I think created quite a unique sense of being there when we were filming.
And it was, the other thing that's liberating is, like, it's cool, like, we just had a concept, and it's like, all right, don't have to worry it to death, let's just go and do it. And then New York Times, that's like the best review I've gotten from anything I've ever made. Like, that, it's like amazing. So you know, but it's if there are any filmmakers here, or young filmmakers, whatever, it's just like, if anything, just use it as an example of how doable it is. Like, just go and do it.
Because this is also very much a film about filmmaking, you know? And I think, exactly to your point, like, one of the other things about this that was exciting was we had very limited sort of pieces of the puzzle that we were working with. And it was trying to really fine-tune creative ways of going from point A to point B when you don't have... I mean, a lot of people, I think, now go crazy with the amount of perceived limitless options of anything in life, but in particular, like, when you're making something, when you have, like, bigger resources or a budget or just, like, time or whatever it is, you have all of these other options that sometimes are wonderful, but sometimes I think can be paralyzing. And when you have few things in front of you and you're trying to make something, it really forces you to be super creative. And that was another thing that was so fun for me.
And then we'll just talk about the shorts real quick. So
yep.
I have my first short I made at NYU, The Feast of Stephen. It's based on a poem by Anthony Hecht, although it was kind of my first real experience with adaptation. And now, usually when I direct something, it's an adaptation of literature. And so it was, you'll see that there's no poetry in it. I felt like it had become its own kind of visual poem, and it kind of taught me like how one medium can turn into another. And so, and then I guess it's sort of kind of thematically maybe there's some crossover with Leather Bar, but or maybe not. But it's it's kind of in the same world, I guess. So that's why I'm showing that one.
And what's the order that you're showing things?
Feast of Stephen is first, and then I Want Your Love, and then the future.
Okay. So I Want Your Love is 14 minutes short. I did in 2010. It was the first time that I ever filmed gay sex before, or any sex, I should say, before. It's one of the favorite things I've ever done. It's a very sweet little film, and I feel like it's probably the best example of using sex as a storytelling tool of my work in general. So I hope you guys enjoy it. That film went on to become a feature film called I Want Your Love as well in 2012, which is how Iris found me as the sexpert on Google. So.
All right, well, enjoy. Thank you for
coming.
coming, and we'll be here all weekend. So come back.
Have fun.